You wanna know a movie that you can go see? You can count and play like a 1, 2, 3. Some like gloomy, some like goofy. Either way, we are obsessed with movies.
That was great. Welcome to Obsessed with Movies. I'm Hayden McGraw, joined by my co-host Clayton Scott. This is our very first episode of our brand new podcast. This podcast is by people obsessed with movies for people obsessed with movies. We should start by introducing ourselves. I'm Hayden, I'm 15 years old, and I'm a huge fan of 80s movies and horror movies. Some of my favorite movies are Gremlins, E.T., Jurassic Park, Star Wars, and Jaws. How about you, Clay?
Thanks, Hayden. I'm Clayton. I'm 32. Huge fan of movies, pretty much since I can remember. Movies have shaped who I am. I remember trying to watch Friday the 13th with my older sister and being scared shitless, but loving the movie completely. Favorite movies? Wow. Anything Michael J. Fox does. Poltergeist, Mallrats. I love so many movies. The Shining. So yeah, Hayden and I met at a local pizza place called Famous Monster Pizza that we both work at. Isn't that right, Hayden?
Yeah, it's been about 8 months since we've known each other. We started talking about movies and how I aspire to, in the future, become a movie director. Clay had one day pitched the idea of making a podcast, and about 2 weeks ago, I was really into this idea, and, well, here we are now.
Yeah, I mean, I think nothing else but about movies and talk about movies, and I've always wanted to do a podcast, and me and Hayden hit it off at work talking about it all the time, so what the hell, you know? But, you know, what the age difference, hope that we can bring a different perspective to these films. But we'll see. So let's get this rolling. Today we are going to be reviewing Child's Play 2.
Neither of us have seen this movie for a long time, and we're both excited to revisit this film. It was released in 1990. The original writer, Don Mancini, came back to write this film. The film follows Andy as he tries to deal with his past of the good guy doll, but as he will soon learn, that is far from the past. Alright, let's get right into it.
Alright, so basically we start the film with them going into the good guy factory and them talking of these rumors from the tabloids and pretty much the public about a disgruntled employee changing the voice box on the Chucky doll.
So they take it into the back and they're kind of showing this. They bring it back to prove that there's nothing wrong with it. They recreate the
same
Chucky
doll from the first one. Yeah.
And when they go to put the eyes in it, it just, like, the machine's not working, and they finally get them in, and an electric shock shoots out of the machine and, like, straight into the guy.
But it literally throws him probably 10, 15 feet. That's what blows my mind.
Through a window, yeah.
And when I see when that machine stops, is that Chucky's powers coming into play?
Yeah.
That is just ridiculous to me that he does that, because that's not how Chucky works.
That's not anything we see in other movies. It's just kind of a one-off thing that he's done. Like, why not shoot lasers out of his eyes more often, or whatever?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, if he can do that, he can do so much more.
Yeah.
So, all that goes down. They pretty much cover it up and take the doll out of there. Cut to Andy in a foster care facility talking to a psychologist, just screwing this kid up even more, right?
Yeah, he's just telling him none of this is real, this is just a dream. But how do you explain all the murders that happened? Are we just going to pretend they didn't happen?
Oh yeah, apparently it's all in his head, so they say. The cops, they say that the cops from the first ones disagree with Andy and his mother's story, and that's why she's actually in a psych ward and he's in foster care. You see them talking to his soon-to-be foster parents, who the father is a freaking douchebag from hell.
His father never seems to want interest in taking Andy in. His father pretty much thinks Andy is too far gone at this point, and
he don't want him.
Yeah.
He don't want him. But they still take Andy and head to go home to their beautiful suburban 90s home. which they almost hit a good guy doll truck semi, which traumatizes the kid even more.
Let's just continue to traumatize Andy. You know, his PTSD from a murderous doll isn't enough. We must almost kill him in a car crash first.
Any adult in this freaking movie is just so arrogant and stupid. Like, they are just the most terrible people ever. It's crazy. We get to Andy's new home. You kind of get a little walkthrough, but they take a moment to show this porcelain statue that supposedly is pretty important to the foster parents.
The dad makes sure to tell Andy that he does not want this thing to be broken. You don't touch this in any way, shape, or form, which is kind of foreshadowing to later in the film when it gets broken by Chucky.
Right, yeah. And you carry on through the home, and you meet Kyle, the badass, the older sister?
Yeah,
okay.
Basically.
She's, been through a bunch of homes and is planning to be out on her own, so she's got one of those terrible attitudes, I guess.
Yeah. She's like the coolest kid in the world right now. So that's kind of what her character is portrayed to be.
So yeah, you get a little tidbit on that. Then move on to Andy's room, which is a pretty cool kid's room. It's got all kinds of toys and...
Yeah, and then he goes to the closet. There's a skateboard at the top. And then he goes to pull the skateboard down, and a good guy falls right on top of him. Again, traumatize the kid as much as possible.
Which her excuse is that they have a bunch of kids going through, and she forgot about it. But they had to have known the circumstances that Andy's life or what bringing him in there. So why wouldn't she even consider going through the toys first?
No idea.
Once again, terrible parents. So that happens. They take Tommy, which is that doll's name. It's a good guy doll, but his name's Tommy, and set him down to the living room. What happens next?
One of the employees is driving around.
Oh, that's right. It's the first kill.
Yeah, it's the first kill.
Yeah, all right.
So you kind of have Chucky in the back. He has like a water gun up to this guy's head. Before this, Chucky calls to get placed to where Andy is at now. And the way Chucky gets this is all he does is says that he's Andy's uncle, which is obviously breaking tons of laws if he can just immediately get the info on where Andy is right after that.
Yeah, she realistically wouldn't have gave that information out, so Chucky would have been shit out of luck.
Yeah.
But that's not the way movies go, does it?
No.
Never. So, has he killed him yet, or are we about to do that?
No, he shoots him with the water gun, fakes him out, and then kind of has his hands behind the seat, all tied up with a jump rope, and he throws a bag over his head. It's not the greatest kill in the film, but it's the end of the first time we see Chucky in action, and of course we hear his iconic laugh.
Which, it's just music to the ears when
it's great.
It comes to a Child's Play movie. I love it. It's the best. So that all goes down, and I assume Chucky drove the car there, because how long would have honestly taken him? I would like to know the locations and how long it would have taken him to walk to Andy's new home. But when they show Chucky back at the house, it's the type of shot they do is one of my favorites, because it's this point of view of Chucky running up to the home, and you hear his little feet pattern running up, and I just love that. I think that's really cool, and it adds to the suspense of the film. Yeah.
I think it's really great because you just kind of, you just hear how small he is, and you get to see kind of what he sees in these scenes.
Yeah. So he walks into, or however he gets into their home, and he hears the mother, which is Mrs. Simpson, telling Andy nighttime story. And it's not a big deal, but I wonder why. So she actually makes it a point to change the ending to Hansel and Gretel. That's the story she's reading to him. That basically it's a happy ending. And you hear Andy say, that's not how it ends. So she changed it, I guess, to... because of everything going on. For some reason that stuck in my head. I don't know why.
I didn't actually pick up on that when watching the movie, but...
Yeah, I don't know why that stuck in my head. So, Chucky hears this, and at this moment, he's standing right next to Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the good guy doll they find in the closet.
And I think more out of jealousy than anything, he takes Tommy and takes this porcelain doll that was told by Mr. Simpson not to touch it because he does not want it broken, and he kills Tommy with it, kind of. He smashes Tommy's face in.
Yes, he kills a doll.
Yeah.
A non-living doll. But yeah, he kills him, or beats the crap out of him, and then also chooses to bury him under... I'm guessing the swing's used quite a bit, so why would he pick that spot out of all spots?
I don't know. You'd think as a notorious serial killer, he would know how to hide a body better than that, especially since it's not very shallow, as we later see, as it's easily kicked up under all the dirt.
Yeah. So that all goes down. Chucky replaces himself with Tommy inside the home, and then now it's morning time with breakfast and the confrontation over the statue. Yeah. Which they choose to ground Kyle and Andy for, which I don't know what they would honestly ground Andy from, but Kyle apparently had a date, which she's a badass, so she's still going to go.
Oh, yeah, of course she is. She's not going to pass that up.
Jesus, she's a teenager. So then you hear they go downstairs, Andy and Kyle, talking basically about how Mr. Simpson's a dickhead. And Kyle makes a point to say that she's had Fosters that would shoot you over cross sides. But the editing on the audio on there is terrible. That's another point that stuck out to me.
You kind of just hear it cut off. So I kind of want to know what it says originally.
Yeah, I mean, what were they covering up with?
What was so bad in this movie that they had to cover over?
Or it was just a bad take, I guess. I don't know. I just find that interesting. But off to school now?
Yeah. No, before that you find this is the first confrontation between Andy and Chucky, where Andy is on the bed tied up with
that's right. That's right. Holy crap, we skipped that whole scene.
And you know, Chucky is doing his first kind of the ritual to get in Andy's body. A little weird, but Kyle comes in through the window and kind of sees all this.
Well, she doesn't see Chucky, though.
No, she doesn't see Chucky, but she sees Andy all tied up. And obviously Andy causes a big commotion, and the foster parents come in and immediately think Kyle was the one to tie up Andy.
To keep him quiet.
Yeah.
But, you know, Andy goes on his rampage, says Chucky, which throws the foster father into a rage over it, and takes Andy to throw Tommy down the stairs.
Yeah. So now Chucky's in the basement.
Then, and everybody goes and has a good night's sleep, pretty much. It's just done with.
Chucky just lays down in the basement all night.
Yeah.
But then the next morning, Chucky is, on the bottom of the bus?
Yeah, you kind of get a little clip of him climbing up inside the bus, I think, in the workings there.
So he's coming to school with Andy for the first day, I guess.
It would be Andy's first day to school. Man, what a first day. So he's in there, teacher teaching class. I think a kid pokes him, and he says, his insult to this kid is, "Get lost, microchip."
Yeah.
And my first thought is, dear God, Andy's screwed. This kid is not going to make it. What the hell does that mean?
No idea. It doesn't make sense. But what happens is the teacher hears this and kind of yells at Andy for it. And what does she do? Like, give him, like, after-school detention for?
No, she doesn't give him anything.
Oh, no, she yells at him for this.
And then later finds the
homework that says,
"Fuck you, bitch."
Yeah.
Yeah. That Chucky had wrote on, which incriminating Andy. So he gets after-school detention, blames on Chucky once again. Nobody's buying this shit, even though they know what his past was, or doesn't want to believe what his past is. It locks Chucky into the closet. She takes off to call the foster parents, and once again, this is the second time now Chucky and Andy interact with each other, and Chucky wants Andy's body and screaming through.
Yeah. So Andy escapes through the window of the school, and the teacher kind of comes back in and is looking for Andy, and so she thinks he actually went into the closet. So she's in the closet now, just moving clothes out of the way, like, "Andy, this isn't funny, where are you at?" When Chucky comes out with an air pump and just, like, stabs her with it and just
Death by Air Pump. Have you ever seen that?
No, that's
insane.
It's original.
And then
it's interesting.
It finishes her off with a yardstick.
With a yardstick, yeah.
That's how